Hey Colts fans, I'm JJ Stankevitz. Welcome into another episode of the Colts Show, an Indianapolis Colts podcast. Please give us a 5-star review. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. All of those 5-star reviews, all of those likes, all of those subscriptions help get our podcasts out to more people. We really appreciate every single one of them. And this is a fun one. I had a ton of fun doing this episode. I had a chance to sit down with 8 players on the first day of our creative content shoot we have. You know, it's that thing that, you see it up on the video board, all those cool things that you do for, that you see for player intros, things like that. A lot of creative stuff that you're going to see in our graphic design this year, in some production elements. But I had a chance to talk with all these players. So they're in full uniform, by the way. I think this might be the only podcast you're going to see NFL players in full uniform being interviewed on. I'm not aware of any other situation where they would be literally in a full uniform, sitting down in front of a couple podcast microphones, talking. So that was a pretty cool experience. The guys who are coming up on today's episode, in order: Daniel Jones, Neville Gallimore, who I teased it last week, but the Neville Gallimore one was awesome. That dude's great. What a storyteller he is. Kenny Moore II hopped on. Cam Bynum hopped on. Anthony Richardson, Alec Pierce, Justin Walley, and JT Tuimoloau all hopped on my little podcast setup for this episode. Had some really interesting insights from them, talking about the Pacers, talking about some of their experiences. I asked everyone a question that I love asking any professional athlete, which is, if the NFL never existed, what sport are you playing professionally? Got some really fun answers out of those guys. Anyways, let's get to it right now, because this is going to be a long episode, but it's a really good one. Really excited to share it. Here you go. Here's Media Day Part 1 here on the Colts Show. All right, Daniel Jones is here in full uniform on Content Day. Okay, tell me about putting pads on. Is it like a pain in the butt to put on pads?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't have this tough time. Some guys do, because they got the real tight jerseys with the real tight sleeves. I like to keep the loose sleeves so they're not pulling on my shoulder or anything when I'm throwing. So that also helps it fit on a little bit easier. So I don't have too tough a time, but I see some of the guys struggle with it on game day. They got to get some strength coaches and equipment guys pulling their pads down.
That's something that just putting on pads is something that I don't totally get. But what's something about playing in the NFL that most people who don't play in the NFL just could never know?
I think playing in the NFL, I mean, you realize how many people it takes to run an operation, to help just practice one day, or just get ready for game day, or travel on the road, or eat in the cafeteria, or just how many people are involved in a football organization and a football team. I feel like it's got to be unique to football, and you don't really understand it until you're in it every day. But there's so many people in this building, from the kitchen staff, the equipment guys, the strength staff, obviously the coaches, the video people, the market. You get into the business side of it. It's there's so many people involved in a football program, and just what a big operation it is to and everyone's goal is to win games on Sunday. So I think that part of it is cool, and you don't really realize until you're in one of these buildings working every day, kind of behind the scenes with it.
That's really good perspective. And as a quarterback, as someone who other people on the team look to, do you kind of have to you kind of set that tone of hey, it does take everyone. We can't take any of these people who impact us for granted. Is that something you've kind of taken on over your career?
Yeah, 100%. I think, I think you also realize that a lot of guys understand that pretty quickly, and do really appreciate it, and see all the work that goes into us being able to play on Sunday, and everyone's job is important in that. And I think the more years you spend in the NFL, and you see it, and you realize that what happened right here really did make a difference. Or me getting that cut up made, those video guys go find those clips, making that cut up for me so I could share it with the receivers, really did make a difference on this one play. And whatever it is, or this, exercise that the strength coach, he watched me at practice, thought this could help me if he put this in my workout program. I did it, and then, wow, that showed up, I'm moving a little better, or my mechanic cleaned up a little bit that way, and all that kind of stuff feeds into one goal. And I think when you're in it and when you have some of those experiences, you realize how important every step along the way is.
All right, this is one of my favorite questions to ask players. Let's say football never existed as a sport. It doesn't get invented. What sport? I mean, you're a great athlete. What sport are you playing professionally right now? What is Daniel Jones doing right now if like a football just never was invented?
I'd love to say golf if I,
but you'd have the time to do
gotten
it.
into golf at a young age and developed a swing and like really gotten serious about it. That would certainly be ideal. But the way I grew up, or just me and my brother played a lot of basketball. Sisters played too, but me and my brother especially, we were always playing basketball. And then North Carolina is a big basketball state. It's not, Indiana is maybe the basketball state, but North Carolina's up there. And so you play a lot of basketball there. And then so maybe that. I mean, he went on to play Division I basketball, still plays a ton of basketball in his rec leagues up in New York. So, I think maybe if I'd gone down that path and I don't know. It would have been a tough road.
You're playing for the Pacers right now.
I don't know. That would have been a tough road. It's hard to make it in basketball. Those guys are really, really good.
Are you a good golfer?
No.
I'm a scratch golfer.
I play a lot. Are you really?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm working on my game, but I wouldn't call myself a good golfer yet.
Right. Appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Here with Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle for the Colts. I know you're pretty new here in Indy, but what has the Pacers run maybe taught you about this city?
Oh, man, it really just taught me how electric this city is. The one thing that jumped off the tape since I got here, you could tell, I don't know what you guys call yourselves, but the Indy fans, the Naptown fans, you guys go hard for your sports teams. I had a chance to go watch that last game that they played, and the stands, the fans were crazy. And even just talking to the guys, they definitely say, Colts Nation is super turned. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
You've played in big cities, LA, Dallas. How different is Indy as a market, as a fan base compared to those two really big cities with big fan bases?
It's definitely different, but the funny thing is I think it's definitely a turn over here. It kind of reminds me of where I was at in Oklahoma. Small town, but they go hard for their team, and that's the one thing. Everybody here is cool, but the one thing that jumps off the tape, Colts fans are everywhere, Pacers fans everywhere, and the community stands 10 toes down for the squad, and I feel like that jumps out compared to being in the major cities, because you think, Dallas, California, Miami, there's so much going on. Indianapolis is Colts, Pacers. Obviously you got your college teams, but I feel like that's one thing I love. It's kind of like your college town, but your NFL town, so I'm looking forward to getting an opportunity to compete here.
What is something that people who don't play in the NFL, who've never played in the NFL, cannot understand about playing in the NFL, what it takes to play in the NFL?
Oh, I feel like, I always like to use the term, even just from my process to get to this point, it's a burning desire to play at this level. And the thing is, what people don't understand, especially when fans who don't really know the game, you're playing against the best of the best. If you're not paying attention, everybody was the guy at one point in their life, college, wherever they play ball at, and now you're going up against a guy who was a 4-year starter, captain, the best player on their team, and you're going against the best of the best. So that's the thing. And it's funny, you see a guy like myself, or you see even from, let's start with the big guys. Everybody's a freak. So it's like a freak amongst freaks. You got a guy who's 6'6", 330, runs a 4.6, runs a 4.7. You got somebody who's 6 feet, 295, who's running just as fast as a linebacker. So I feel like it is a whole bunch of different beasts. That's why, if you look at it, in the past NBA world, you got guys that can go to high school to NBA. Football, no matter how good you are, you just can't do that. You'll get killed. You'll just get killed. So
okay.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I think I know the answer that you're going to give, but who's the biggest freak you ever played with?
Offense or defense?
Either side of the ball. You either practiced against them or practiced with them.
Biggest freak. I'm going to say just look at him, and I think I got him at the later time, but at a Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
I would say
tackle for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and mind you, I was a 3-10. I got a chance to go against him a couple times. It's not every day you see a guy who's, again, 6'7", 325, has a legit six-pack, strong as an ox. And it's a funny story. I remember, just a little short story. I remember.
We're here for stories.
I was getting done doing my bench, and I think 385, 4 reps. Like, I was feeling good.
Okay, that's something that playing in the NFL, 385.
Yeah.
I can get like 115, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Hell yeah.
So that's the thing, right? So then you're amongst D linemen or just other big old linemen. So again, 385, 4 reps. Actually, I think it was 6, but solid. Like I'm good pump. Tyron comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, you done?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, man. I'm a unrack it. You good?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm a warm up here." I was like, "Hey bro, don't do me like that, man." He's like, nah, man, a few words. He gets on the bench, legs up, crosses his legs, kind of to get the core working, and he pumps up like 10. And I was like, yo, so like first set, right? He's like, no, I'm just warming up. I said, yo, man, you got it. Man, you got it. And I'm strong. I can say I'm labeled as a strong guy, but then you just got guys at a different level. And it's funny just coming here, Grover is definitely one of those guys who's like, that dude just throws up weight. Like, he doing a alternate incline bench with 170s. I'm over here, 160s, like yelling, huffing and puffing. He's like, yeah, let me get that bit.
Okay, but you're that's a 170-pound free weight.
Yeah.
So like literally, I weigh 170 pounds. He's literally got one of me in this hand doing this.
He's got one of you that he's holding up like this, and he's got another one of you that's pumping and he's alternating. I got a little bit less than you, but I need
That's still ridiculous. Like hard for me to comprehend. Okay, I like asking guys this. Neville, you're a great athlete. Let's say the football never existed. Like it never got invented. The actual football, the game of football, never existed on this planet. But you are such a good athlete that you made it to the NFL. What sport are you playing professionally right now?
Soccer.
Okay, why?
I wasn't expecting you to give me the answer. I should have known you were going to ask me the why, though. I feel like good feet, fast, and I'm assuming you're saying football's never invented.
It's never been invented. This doesn't exist at all.
Okay, so I also now knowing that is also knowing that I don't have to eat like how I've eaten.
Right.
So I'll probably be leaner. I'll probably be a lot faster, and I'll probably because my first sport I ever played was soccer competitively. I played left back, so I've been a defensive type of guy.
Could see that.
So I think I'll probably be 6'2", like 185, fast, lean, but I'm the soccer guy.
You bomb it down the wing for Liverpool, maybe.
Yeah, I was weird though. I was like a Tottenham Hotspurs.
Ooh, that's tough.
That's
here.
weird. That was
real
weird.
tough here.
That was weird, but I'll go to Liverpool. I'll probably basketball.
Okay.
6'2" point.
Little point guard.
Got a little pump fake, scrape and go.
Tyrese in there. Yeah.
Not like probably like a Jameer Nelson type. So let's go back.
I love that. Saint Joseph.
Yeah. If I had to, like Tyrese got his bag a little different.
Yeah.
He got a lot. You never know what he's gonna give you. So.
Okay. Right on. Neville Gallimore, appreciate your time, man. All right, here with Colts cornerback Kenny Moore II. Kenny, I know you've been going to a bunch of Pacer games, even before the playoff run. But seeing this team make the run to the finals, what has it shown you or maybe taught you about this city of Indianapolis?
Just how much they love the sports, just how much what we do as athletes really embodies the city and how much support they'll bring with it. And I went to my first game 4 versus New York, and it was a loud environment. It's an environment that, I want to be in every single Sunday, playing at home in Lucas Oil. So, but they have the team to go all the way, and they're in a big dance, and, seeing them, you just want the same thing for, your team. So how they bring the city together, we want to do the same thing.
I was going to say, like that's got to be a little inspirational to see the way the city has supported them and really rallied around them, for what you guys can do as the Colts.
Basketball is the origin right here in Indiana, but the Colts in general, they bring that same type of energy for us. Not even just comparing. I hope they do win it all, and I hope they do it for the state of Indiana, and it'd be good to have that type of momentum going into the city. I think they're really putting the city on the map, and for athletes, for sports, and we want to just keep it going.
Hell yeah, let's go. All right, this is a pivot, but who's the most dad person on the Colts? Who gives off the most dad energy in that locker room?
Most dad energy?
Yeah.
That's a interesting question. I'll go Defo.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to get a lot of Defo.
It's very easy. I think he got here around, how old was he when he got here? 26 maybe?
Yeah, probably 26, 27.
Yeah. But he was already like married, got kids. Like he's on his third kid now?
Yeah, just had his third kid. Yeah.
I like everything about Defo. I think anybody can say the same thing. Just what he represent, what he mean to his family, our team, and this being a family environment, he fits with the system very, very well. So,
what have you maybe seen from you had a bunch of legends coming back, this for like Mr. Irsay's service and just kind of being around a little bit. What maybe just was impressed upon you by just seeing all these guys come back, or just seeing them around over the last couple of days?
I guess in the last week, you just see how much of an impact Mr. Irsay really meant to the Colts organization and the Colts, like the purpose behind the Colts. The family orientation that I feel like we have around here, that definitely instilled within him, and he created that type of environment, and you really begin to learn that over this last week. I think everything that I've seen and heard about, his entire legacy here as an Indianapolis Colt, it's been very, very consistent on how big of a heart he had, and no matter what, he was always teaching those lessons. Like, if you see people who work hard, definitely do your best to give them their flowers, and that's something that he's instilled in his daughters. So it's cool to see their family dynamic on display with action, and not just by word or through the grapevine because you saw it on display. So it was pretty cool. And as a guy who values giving, and I think giving is important, and just being an advocate of mental health and all those things, I do believe that I'm home. Like I feel like this is the place that that represent what I care about a lot. So it gives me a door to like be myself, and gives me the green light to be like, okay, it is cool to like be in the community and represent so much more, because we all do. And I think I've always said that I think it's our role to give, and to really see how much that he gave. And I know I haven't even heard all the stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I've seen through my own eyes of Mr. Irsay it was incredible, man. It was really incredible. So I think any guy on this team will want to be just 1% of what he represented. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna one more pivot here.
Yeah.
So let's say football never existed. I asked you this a couple years ago, but let's say football never existed as a sport. You're a great athlete. What are you playing professionally? And you said soccer 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're still playing center mid for Borussia Dortmund?
Nah, I'm actually playing center mid or attacking mid for like Liverpool.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
now you're winning the Premier League.
I'm going. I think that's the best soccer in the world.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
We had I just had Neville Gallimore on. He's a Tottenham fan, and he was a little sheepish in admitting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough scene. We got Harrison behind the camera as a Liverpool fan who's grinning
That's my
ear
guy.
to ear. That's your guy.
I got a lot of friends who are Liverpool fans naturally, and you begin to learn that over the years, and I'm like, oh, that's why you my guy. Like, that's why.
Who do you gravitate toward watching in soccer? Like, as like a player?
Like players?
Yeah.
I wish Ronaldo was still on TV a lot. I think that was always my player growing
Peak
up that I
Ronaldo,
wanted to like
yeah.
watch and see, and somebody that you want to see in person. But I'm watching Liverpool whenever they have it on, Peacock or whatever channel they have for us to see. That's what I like about the off season. Is able to see the English Premier League on Saturdays and stuff like that.
When you watch soccer or basketball or, another sport, do you like, when you look at elite players in that, like a Ronaldo or like a Tyrese or any of those guys, like, do you take anything away from that? Like as like a,
I think it would be.
Player?
I think it's hard not to take away something. I think Ronaldo is just so great because he's such a hard worker. Like, he's a worker and he's process driven. Like, whatever is given to him, he missed a kick, a PK, like last year or 2 years ago, and I remember him coming out with a podcast like afterwards, but his mom was at that game and like he was crying like because he saw his mom at the game and he like missed a kick to like progress them in a tournament or whatever for Portugal. And I'm not sure if that was the reason, but his mom was at the game and like he saw her in the stands or whatever, and so he was like really emotional and cried and stuff. But I don't know, I just gravitate to his style of play, just for his stature and how agile he is and how much work he put into it. He's a family guy. Like, it's hard not to root for guys like that. But yeah, I love to watch players around any type of league, even if it's baseball. You kind of just gravitate to certain players just from like play style and swagger, stuff like that. So, and you kind of take away from like what they give to their team or fan base or whatever, and you kind of check out their Instagram, check out their brand to see if you value those things.
Right on. Kenny, I could talk to you forever, but you got stuff to do. You got photos to take.
Do I? I think there's a line. I think there's a line over there. Yeah, but I mean, I can go over here and go back to some trick shots if you want.
I mean, Blue's been trying to hit a ping pong ball into a little cup for 30 minutes at this point.
I got really close. JC's touch looked a little strong. He's a linebacker, but
he's a former DB.
His touch is really strong.
He used to be one of you guys.
His touch is really strong. Oh, he almost made that though. Let me shut up.
This is making great podcast content
JC,
right here.
I got you.
For our listeners.
It's nice. I think he's a little closer than I was. Yeah, but it's good time.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Right on, Kenny. Appreciate it, man. All right, here with safety Cam Bynum.
Yes,
First
sir.
player in team history to wear number 0. What is
an
it?
honor.
That's an honor?
It's an honor. Just being the first to do anything in a franchise, and for me to be a new guy also, it's like, in my mind, I got to make them be grateful that they gave it to somebody like me that will come in here and be a leader and be a worker. So I think that is super cool, just me being able to get a single digit, because I know the only person in history was Stephon Gilmore for a defensive player to wear a single digit.
Okay, I like that.
So now that they gave this to me, I feel like I have to go earn the right to wear this number every single day. But it's an honor because it's swaggy.
You played. It is. I mean,
It's nice.
I can't. So I'm also I'm also the PA announcer. I can't wait to announce number 0. Or
is that
okay,
even a number?
I think
Yeah,
0.
it's somewhat.
That's existential, man. That broke
Yeah.
my brain. 0 is a number, but it's not.
You know what trips me out is when people have 0 on one team and then double 0.
Well, yeah, like the
I forgot.
Pacers. They
It was
got
the Pacers,
Tyrese
right?
Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That threw me off. I thought it was a joke.
They announced Tyrese as wearing O. Do you want to be announced as wearing
Please
O
don't.
or 0?
O is a letter. That's
a
one
great
of my
point.
pet peeves when people say.
Okay. So you want to be
call 0. I need 0.
from Cal, safety
Yes.
number 0,
Yes,
Cam Bynum.
Cam Bynum.
Okay, I'm glad we just
Yeah.
worked this out here
We're
on
good.
this podcast.
Now you
Great.
know. Now you know how to scream my name on the weekend.
I mean, they pay me to be loud. It's great.
Perfect.
What has being around this team and just kind of getting your feet wet here? What have you learned about this city of Indianapolis? I know you haven't spent a ton of time here yet, but what's maybe just your first impression of this city?
I say that they love their sports. With basketball, with football, just whenever I see a picture or video of a game in Lucas Oil, it looks super turned every single time. And especially me growing up in California, it was weird that my older brother was a Colts fan, but now I see why. And obviously they have a lot of history here, but it was one of those, it's a random place being from California, and my brother's a fan.
What's the story
of the
behind
Colts. I have no clue. Probably because they're good.
Peyton
When we were
Manning?
kids, yeah. Probably that. We loved Bob Sanders, too, because he used to just kill people, so that was always fun to watch. So he was a Colts fan, so everybody was like, that's random, and he always rode with the Colts. And now that I'm on the team, it's pretty crazy that, just coming from California, ending up, for me, being in Minnesota, that's a random place in our mind, coming from Cali, then going to another place in the Midwest, just places you never thought you would be. But now that it's home, it's super cool. And that's the first thing I noticed, that people love their sports here, so it's an honor being a part of it.
Okay, so your brother's a Colts fan, maybe played with, the Colts on Madden or something with Peyton Manning, and you liked watching Bob Sanders. What do you remember about Bob Sanders?
He used to just kill people. He was smaller. He was that guy that's just always flying around, just hitting people no matter how big they were. So he was just fearless out there, and that was always another thing. He'd always hit people's legs and make them flip. And as a kid, I was like, that's like a cartoon, like a football movie. That you're watching Little Giants, you see all the big hits and everything. That's what he made happen in real life. So that was like the first thing that attracted really his game. That was attractive about his game, was the way that he used to just hit people.
When you're like scrolling Instagram or whatever, like whose highlights do you gravitate toward watching? Like could be football or even like another player. I was talking
Manny
to Kenny.
Pacquiao.
Okay.
I'm a big,
you were just
big
training
boxing
with them, right?
guy. Yeah, I was just training with them, but that's like my whole algorithm right now. That's one of my favorite athletes. It was Kobe and Manny for my number one athletes. So I just love sport of boxing just because the mindset of it. You're in there one-on-one, and it's up to you. If you train hard and you do your part, you win. There's no hiding the training. So that's why I love just being interested in boxing. So that's my algorithm right now. That's like there's not much football in my algorithm.
Mine is like golf tips that I can't actually apply to my game. It's really bad.
It's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It's wishful thinking golf tips. When you watch Manny Pacquiao, I know you got to train with him and do stuff in the Philippines, but when you watch him, like, what are you looking for as a fellow professional athlete?
Just the work ethic. I think just the way that he's there, focused, still like a people person and letting other people work out with him. But when he's there, he's working out, and he always talks about like the conversation we had when I was training with him this time. We were doing the ab workout, and he said, "It's your choice if you get knocked down with a body shot." And it was like, in my mind, putting that in football terms, you're in charge of your preparation. He's like, if you get knocked out by getting hit to the face, hit to the head, that's fine because that's just a good punch. But if you get knocked out to the body, that means you didn't prepare well enough. So that's one thing that, like, I'll hear that and I'll immediately translate that to football. Okay, I can win based off of if I prepare, if I know the other team, the offense I'm going against, if I watch enough tape, if I do enough footwork during the week to be good on my coverage. So that's the only thing that I'm watching, like translating, okay, the work ethic, the footwork that he does in the ring. Okay, he's always on his feet. How can I apply this to football? Because obviously I'm not a fighter, so I'm not in there studying everything about boxing.
Right.
But like the mindset that he has, the attention to detail and the preparation, like you said, I refuse to get knocked down by a body shot. And it's like, that's all preparation at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so
and you can apply that to playing in the NFL.
Exactly. So that was my mindset. Anytime I'm studying a great, even if it's a different sport.
All right, so I asked this question to a couple guys a couple years ago, and I'm bringing it back for this podcast. It's, if football never existed, what sport are you playing professionally right now?
And I'm guaranteed to be a pro?
You're guaranteed to be a pro, but I know you played with Stephon Gilmore.
Yes.
He had the best answer of the whole thing when I asked him.
He said tennis.
He said tennis.
I guarantee he said tennis.
That is exactly what he said. And he just looks at me and he goes, because it's one-on-one. And that's all he said.
Yeah.
Best answer I got. Okay, so what are you playing professionally?
Boxing.
Okay.
I box. Because it's one-on-one. Because there's so much technique involved. And it's just, like I said, it's one of those, you're kind of it's up to you how good or bad you are. Your preparation, if you cut corners during your training, you're guaranteed to lose unless you just have a good night or somebody has an off night you're going against. So it's one of those things, even more so than it just being one-on-one, it'll show, okay, did you prepare? Did you work hard? Are you cutting any corners or not? And it'll show. Like there's no way around it in boxing because you're in there fighting for your life. So I think that'll be my sport that I can be, not can be professional, but would be if football didn't exist.
That is a great answer. We're going to end on that one. Cam Bynum, appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. My guy.
All right, here with Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. This is coming out a couple days after Father's Day. What is the most dad thing that you do? So, like, the example I'm giving is, like, I play golf, and I love shopping at Costco, and then, like, cooking food I got at Costco, and then being like, I got that at Costco.
Right.
So what's the most dad thing you do?
Okay, I haven't started it yet, but I'm getting into golf.
Okay.
I just got some clubs.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about that. But I catch myself at the park, pushing my son on the swing a lot. So I'll probably say that. And yelling at him, I got to bring out my dad voice sometimes.
Yeah, there's a different dad voice.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It scares me sometimes. But,
I know. I had to use it on my son this morning when he wasn't listening. It's like, man, was that me?
Yeah, sometimes it catches you. But
yeah. Okay, so you're thinking about taking up golf.
Yeah.
How soon until you're breaking 100? You're a good athlete. I mean,
Yeah. People say, athletes can pick up on different sports pretty quickly, so what's the average time that takes? Maybe a few months, maybe?
I mean, if you're good. I know people who've been playing for years that can't break 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, my goal would be a few months, get my swing down pat and then take care of the rest.
So I've heard stories about like players who just pick up clubs and they're like shooting like 80, like right off the bat. I don't know. It's a tough thing to do, but I don't know. Golf is like it's just you versus the course
every time.
So you got to be competitive with yourself.
No, it's definitely fun, but it's extremely frustrating at times.
Yes.
The last time I was trying to swing and get my clubs, I kept chunking the ground, man. I kept missing the ball and stuff. So just give me a few minutes and then I'll get it right.
Okay, so the answer is probably not golf yet, but
no.
let's say football never existed as a sport. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but football never existed as a sport, but you're a professional athlete. What sport are you a professional athlete in?
And I only got to pick one.
I mean, can you pick one that's not basketball? Because I think everyone watching this is going to know it's going to be basketball.
Yeah, surprisingly, I wasn't going to say basketball.
Okay.
Maybe baseball.
Baseball. Yeah. Center fielder?
Wherever. I feel like I just wanted to be out there, out there on the pitch, making it happen.
Okay.
Maybe being the pitcher, maybe.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I could see you throwing 100.
Maybe, at least trying.
Nasty slider outside.
Yeah. But I would probably maybe like center field, somewhere out there in the outfield, just tracking the ball now and running,
When you watch other sports, or you watch other athletes in another sport, what do you watch from like the greats in other sports? So like if you're watching like Kobe highlights or you're watching, I was talking to Cam Bynum about like Manny Pacquiao. Like when you're watching other athletes, like what do you look for?
Man, that's a great question, honestly. For me, it really depends on, the sport and the player as well. Like when I'm watching basketball and I'm watching Curry, like I'm watching him like running around the court because I don't think anybody in the NBA or just in basketball in general is just running as much as he's running on the court. And people don't really, take that stuff into account that also translates to his game. So, just trying to find little things like that to see why that person is so great.
Yeah. Picking up just stuff, the little things on that.
Yeah.
All right, last one for you. We're taping this a couple days before the NBA Finals start. I know you've been to a couple Pacers games.
Oh, yeah.
What has the run the Pacers have gone on this year maybe shown you about this city of Indianapolis?
Man, I can't express enough how much excitement I've been having these past few months, especially watching these guys go on this run. Halliburton is doing this thing. Miles Turner is doing this thing. You got Obi Toppin out there hooping. You just got all the guys just hooping, coming together as a squad. And just seeing the city of Indianapolis just come together and, bring the energy and excitement, it's a blessing because it just gets me excited for our season and what we're going to be able to do. So definitely excited.
Right on. Anthony Richardson, appreciate your time, man.
So thank you.
Here with Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce. I want to start here, Alec. In 2022, I did this thing where I was going around the locker room and I was asking guys, if football never existed, what sport would you play professionally? And you, ran up to me and you were like, beach volleyball.
Yeah.
Is that – okay, because you threw out the first pitch at a Cubs game, and I see that little southpaw action on the mound.
Yeah.
If the sport of football never existed, are you actually playing beach volleyball and are you in the Olympics?
I would love to play beach volleyball. And I think, it's so hard, I think, to get to the Olympics, obviously, one, you got to be the best player in the nation. But, I would have thought, in another life, if I grew up a Southern California boy or something, I think I would have put a lot into that. And I do have a good, I'm a lefty, which is pretty valuable. And I grew up kind of playing setter, and you got to be really athletic for beach. I'm a little probably undersized, but I think you can make it work. There's probably been guys shorter
You're
than me.
6'4" and you've got really long arms. That's undersized.
Yeah, I know a lot of those guys. I feel like they're 6'7". I saw Chase Budinger last year.
Yeah,
remember him from the NBA? He qualified for the Olympics in beach. So he he was kind of the.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say the blueprint, but like that. I thought that was super cool because I'm like, this guy played in the NBA, and then just once he was done playing in the NBA, he just kind of dedicated his life to beach volleyball, and he made the Olympics. But he was also I think the #1 volleyball recruit in the nation coming out of high school. So he's always been a really good volleyball player.
My high school basketball coach. I went to Oak Park River Forest, rival of your high school, Glenbard West. The high school basketball coach always would complain that he couldn't get the kids on the volleyball team to sign up for basketball.
Yeah.
Because he's looking, look at this guy. He's 6'7". He's got long arms. He should be on my team.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it's valid. It's true. Those two sports definitely pair like hand in hand together. I think a lot of the kids I saw, we had some really good volleyball players in my school, and they were a lot of kids that ended up being not very good at basketball, and I think they gave their shot at volleyball. You know, I think there's zero physicality in volleyball. So like you can be 6'7", 185 out there. You know, so a lot of guys who were kind of just didn't do well with physicality, because you know if you're a big guy, you're expected to be physical in basketball. You're expected to be down there kind of banging in the post, and so I think a lot of volleyball players were. It's like when they say the people who weren't hitting at football became the basketball players or something like that. Like, you know,
the people who weren't hitting in basketball became the
volleyball players. Yeah. So.
When you watch other sports, you're watching basketball or baseball or whatever. Like, do you look at the elite players on a team, and do you like try to pick up anything about just maybe not necessarily their game, but like what they do to be the best of the best at what they do, even if it's not a sport like football?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing. I haven't looked into too many sports, but the biggest thing I'd say I've looked into is golf. Just knowing, because it's so much mental. So, just hearing golfers about how they do so well and just the mental game of that, I think it can apply to not only football but just life, and just basically they kind of talk about like all these different things, you know, in terms of just your mental and your confidence and your, you know, just kind of being like super systematic with your approach and being step by step. So I think if you listen to some golfers talk, and there's people have written books, like all that stuff. I haven't gotten that far into it, but they honestly have some pretty cool things to say, because it's all mental stuff.
Who do you like look at as a golfer, active, former, who kind of talks about that?
I've seen like a clip of Rory McIlroy talking about like flow. I think he said like flow state, basically just like when he's like when you're playing your best, you're basically not thinking. It's you're just kind of like going through your routine, and because I think when you think, you can overthink things. So I think that's kind of what the biggest thing I got from that was. But it's like, when I get on the golf course, I got to try to find the flow state. You know.
Okay.
I don't know if my flow state's probably different than his.
Is your Instagram like for you? Is it all just like golf tips?
That's
what mine is.
Yeah, I try not to like. I think you can get really lost in the weeds if you're like watching all that stuff and picking up things. Like, I'm a very like. I don't really like. But sometimes I've gotten some good things. Like I learned how to hit a fade and a draw off that. Like it was like a simple video. It was like how to hit a fade and draw for athletes, and I'm like, oh, that's I'm an athlete.
I'm an athlete.
Yeah, no, there's like, oh, just move your foot forward, and I'm like, just swing across your feet, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And now I know if I gotta, you know, hit one and move it to the right, you know, as a lefty, if I gotta hit a little draw, I just slide that front foot forward and I swing along my feet, and it does a nice little hook. So
see, I watch those videos and then I try to apply them to my game, and I blade it, I shank it, I get an 8 on the hole, and I'm just like, forget it.
Yeah, I think all the stuff where they get really into the weeds, where it's like, oh, like, you know, you got to do this with your hips or this with your like your fire in your hands or whatever. I think that's like, that makes me think too much. I just hit the ball and then try and figure out what, like, oh, I hit a slice, so I got to be a little bit more, you know, swing a little bit more this way or come like into out, you know, stuff like that.
Let's talk about Indianapolis, the city.
Yeah.
We're both Chicago guys from the area. For me, seeing the city like embrace the Pacers over the last couple of weeks, months, has been really cool to see. Like, oh no, this is like, it's a great sports city.
Yeah. And
it's different than in a bigger city where there's a lot of other stuff going on. There are more teams. Like here, it's the Colts and the Pacers and the Fever. What has your experience been? Kind of like getting, you know, I know you've been to a couple Pacers games during the playoffs. Like just kind of seeing how the city has embraced that team over the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's been super fun. You know, just really starting with it last year, like. I went to a ton of those playoff games, and that run they had was awesome. And, you know, they They got stopped in the Eastern Conference Finals, but then just this year's been incredible.
I love hearing the we. Because you probably grew up on like D Rose. I grew up on Michael Jordan, but like I'm all in on the Pacers.
I'm all in on the Pacers too, man. It's awesome. I can't wait to go. I'm gonna try to go. I'm gonna for sure be at the Game 3 game. I think before we break camp. So
it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, last one for you. What's something about playing in the NFL that someone who doesn't play in the NFL could never understand? About what you do?
I think like fans understand the time that goes into it, but I don't think just, the casual viewer or people that really aren't even sports fans understand. Like, I've had some people be like, hit me up, oh, you're gonna be home for Thanksgiving, or you're gonna be home and it's like, no, I have practice. Like we practice pretty much every day, so it's definitely a job, it's the hours are basically just like a full-time job, so.
And the off season's no different too.
No, yeah, the off season we do get some time off, but then kind of once April hits, April for 2 months, basically mid-April to mid-June, you're half days to kind of a little bit longer days once it's towards the end, but
you're still training, like you get. Even in February, I know you're posting stuff on Instagram, like stuff you're training and doing all that stuff. So that's still a job too.
Yeah, for sure. I think once the Super Bowl is over, I'd say a lot of guys like kind of take some time off, and then once that Super Bowl hits, they probably get back to training, and you're gonna be training from. I usually just do the mornings. I go like probably 8 to 1 or something like that. From going from the weight room to the field and getting your some stuff worked on your body. So, and then leave the afternoons free to do whatever I want, so.
Probably play golf.
Play some golf. I was down in Florida, went to the beach a lot.
Okay.
Played some volleyball, I can't go too hard on the volleyball, but it's fun to do.
Appreciate it, Alec.
Yeah,
Thanks for your time, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'm here with Colts rookie cornerback Justin Walley. I'm curious about, as a guy who's coming into the NFL, who have you kind of gravitated toward watching? Like a player, maybe it's another cornerback, maybe it's a defensive back, maybe it's just someone in the league who you like watching. Who have you kind of gravitated towards, and what do you maybe pick up from them?
Well, the biggest coincidence in all of this is kind of the person I kind of like modeled my game after was Kenny Moore, and I'm on his team now. So I think that was probably the thing I'm kind of most excited for. Kind of, I feel like I watched so much film on him, and to be his teammate, get to pick his brain about small things, how he does, his habits off the field and things like that. So it's a blessing to be able to be on the same team as him.
How do you watch Kenny Moore highlights as a college kid in Minnesota?
Well, so we use DV Sport. We have access to.
Okay, so you do have access to. Okay,
yeah.
So you're able to. You're not watching the TV broadcast.
No, I'm watching
because I feel like
film.
Watching the TV broadcast as a cornerback probably is infuriating.
Yeah, you can't because it doesn't. They hardly ever show the corners on TV unless you're on a certain side of the field. So
yeah. And you can't see what route the guy's doing, how he set it up.
Yeah.
You're probably just this is a terrible experience.
Yeah, you can't watch film on corners from TV.
All right, so when you watch film of Kenny, what did you take away from his game that you've now kind of applied to yours?
Mm-hmm. So, coming into it, I'm a 5'10" guy, and I kind of was watching a lot of 5'10" guys around the league or guys who aren't 6 foot, because if you're not 6 foot, to stick around the league as long as he has, you have to do something right. So I was kind of just wondering what does he do? What does make him stick over a lot of other guys? And it's just his drive. He plays it's with his hair on fire. He can play in the box. He's a great tackler, great cover down the field. So a lot of small things. He does a lot of small things right, and I think that's I try to implement into my game.
I feel like being the corner who can be the inside-outside guy, maybe when we talk about it in the media or whatever, it's almost taken for granted. Oh no, he can play inside, he can play outside, but that's not as easy as it sounds, right? The differences in those two positions.
Yeah, it's a completely different position. So much difference where I didn't play inside until my last year of college. Mm-hmm. It's a whole, how to spot drop a lot more. The routes happen a lot faster inside. So you're guarding a different type of receiver inside. It's a completely different world, and it's going to take a lot of adjusting to be able to play both of them consistently. But I'm ready for it.
How was that transition? Because playing outside, you can use the sideline as a defender a little bit. Playing inside, you're on an island almost.
Inside's a lot of space, and I think it's hard to tell how much space it is until you actually go out there and you look around and there's nobody near you. So it's going to be a challenge, but that's part of the job. That's kind of why I love to play this position.
When you watch other sports, we were just talking, about watching the NBA, picking that up a little bit this year. Like, what do you look for in maybe the elite players in another league that maybe you could just pick up, even just a little habit or something that they do to apply to what you do?
I would say mentality is like for the most thing, and availability. I grew up a LeBron fan, and to see him go out there every night and produce on a consistent level, it's kind of like, what does he do? And look more into it. He take care of his body so well that he's able to go out there and play every single game and not be that injured. So small things like that is kind of what I look at.
Have you, got into the Pacers at all since you've been here?
I kind of told my girl that, I'm a Pacers fan now. I'm in Indiana. I was a LeBron fan, but I never had a team. So now I'm here. It's a good team to watch. So I'm a pretty much Pacers fan. I love Nembhard, my new favorite player after LeBron.
Little mini Drew Holiday.
Yeah, that's what I like,
So I'm from Chicago. I grew up a Bulls fan, and I just completely swore him off 3 years ago because I was like, man, these Pacers, they're fun. I got to get in on this. And it's been so cool seeing how the city has really embraced it. If you, just being around the city, what sort of has left an impression on you about what Indianapolis can be as a sports town?
Well, I just can say they love sports here. We were at the NASCAR, not the NASCAR, but the
IndyCar, the Indy 500. You went to the 500, or you
went to the week before where they were doing the qualifying stuff.
Yeah.
And, they had a lot of fans there. And the rookie class went, and the amount of times that fans was interacting with us was insane. It just shows you how much they really care about the sports here and how passionate they are. You can't really ask for more than that.
I've been asking a couple guys this. So let's say football never existed as a sport. No one ever put laces on a ball and said, we're going to go play football. You're a great athlete. What sport is Justin Walley playing professionally right now?
Baseball.
Okay.
I played baseball growing up my whole life. I think I was just as good of a baseball player as I was football, but got to high school, started getting offers in football. I was like, you know what? I'd rather play football anyway, so I do that. But
what position?
I always played center and second, and I was always a leadoff hitter. So it was always fun.
Center field kind of tracks for a defensive back there.
Yeah.
Is there anything transferable, like tracking the ball over your shoulder that you maybe helped you as a DB from playing center field?
Yeah, I think baseball teaches a lot of the core mechanics of really every sport. Hand-eye coordination, being able to track a ball that's high in the air. So it's all those small things that when you go on the football field makes you a lot better player.
Cool. Justin Walley, appreciate your time, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm here with Colts defensive end JT Tuimoloau. What about this city, Indianapolis, have you maybe learned in the month or so since you've been here?
I think just how, gritty the city is, just how much passion they have for the love of the teams. Just being able to go to the Pacers game, you can just tell how much they love their teams and how much they root for them. Being a fan and seeing it from that point of view, you got to be thankful for those type of fans,
Is it when you go to a game as a fan, how do you experience that? As someone who knows what it takes to be a professional athlete, how do you go to a game and do you get frustrated and yell at the referee, or how do you go to a game as a fan?
I think for me, being able to play basketball long enough, I kind of just go there and I know it sounds weird, but just watching craftsmen just do what they know how to do best, better than me, and just seeing the art just reveal itself on the court in that type of way.
So you kind of understand basketball on kind of a higher level.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Pacers and how they play?
They play for each other. You can tell that whatever it takes for them to get the job done, they will do it. Just little small things. Seeing it went from Neesmith. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pronounce their. Try not to butcher their names, but Neesmith going from guarding Jalen Brunson, and then they put Nembhard on Jalen Brunson
after
Neesmith went down for a little bit, and it was just kind of like a competitive excellence. When your number's called, when your name's called, just stepping up to it, and just, not having no second thoughts, just putting 100% effort into it, and that's what I see with all of them.
Do you take that away of watching another sport? Obviously, basketball and football are very different, but do you take anything away from? Hey, I'm watching this guy do something. I could maybe think about, how does he do that? How could I apply just maybe a process or something to my game?
That's what I feel like I've done that a lot. Just growing up playing both sports, being able to see how big those guys are and move well on their feet. It's kind of just like playing defensive end. You're trying to be a ballerina out there, but as well as being a bull. So you try to put it all together, and I feel like seeing the way they move or how they get around defenders is kind of like how you would get around a tackle, and seeing how they do it in person, trying to mimic it in a way when you come to practice. There's always something you can take away whenever you're watching anything.
What's your favorite memory from your time at Ohio State?
Other than winning the national championship.
Okay, that was kind of an obvious question.
Yeah.
Other than winning the national championship.
Yeah, it'll probably be just all the things we did off the field. All the cookouts we did as a team, just helping us to, keep that brotherhood alive and not just make it a saying, but really live that life of being a family. And just all the memories we made off the field, cookouts, going out to eat, breakfast, no matter what it was, watching the games at each other's house, just missing that atmosphere of having my brothers around is something I plan on doing here. Just making us. I know everybody got families, but just trying to bring that family aspect here.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that Coach Steichen has always said is like when we're connected, we're committed.
Yeah.
And that there is a family atmosphere here. It starts with ownership.
Mm-hmm.
What have you maybe learned about that family atmosphere at the Colts in the couple of weeks you've been here?
Yeah. So especially being with the D-line room, first a lot of great guys, guys with a lot of wisdom, guys who have done it for a long time and are good at what they do. As well as off the field, it's like, man, just all brothers. Just the little brother right now. Just got here. But, that just shows, I feel like that gives me a glimpse of just, who we are as the Colts, who the Colts are. We're a team that's, very close, and, you can see that when we go practice. We practice hard because we know how much each other has put in, and we know how much each other has to offer. So being around them and off and on the field, I feel like that's a small glimpse of just in a nutshell of who the Colts are.
I was talking to Neville on this podcast, and he was talking about how much like Grover Stewart can like single arm press.
Oh yeah.
He said it's 170 pounds, so I weigh 170 pounds.
Oh okay.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That like you guys are not like just a regular old person.
Yeah.
In terms of what you can do. I mean that. I don't really have a question other than that's
me
crazy.
Seeing him and being as big as I am, it's still like, oh yeah, that's a whole different type of shape.
It's like different,
yeah.
I'm curious, like when you like go and you weight train, you do these things. Like when you did that at Ohio State, like how competitive is that within like a D-line room?
Oh man. I think my first time lifting with the vets, they were calling them just each other's numbers out. So I was like, before I stepped up, I was like, all right, I got to make sure my numbers is up there with them. But, there's no difference. It's just age is different.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think competition is still high and still the same.
And that just kind of makes you better. That makes you want to lift. Yeah, okay. All right, last one for you. This one's kind of off the wall.
All right,
let's say football never existed as a sport.
Yep.
It was never invented. But you're a really good athlete. You're a great athlete. What sport are you playing professionally?
Oh, basketball.
Because you were a pretty good basketball player already.
Yeah, basketball for sure.
And you commit to it fully.
Oh, man.
Okay. So what position?
I think I'm a hybrid. I feel I'm big enough to, scrap down low and got enough to bring the ball up in case, there's a big man that can't move. But, I feel like I can, I always think about it. Even when I'm just shooting the little baby hoop, just like, man, what if, But I think football did go.
I think it did pretty well for you.
I think football's doing really good.
So you're growing up in Seattle. What was the basketball scene there like?
Ooh, basketball in Washington, I say, is very underrated. A lot of dogs out there. A bunch of you guys know Paulo, Mancaro, a couple of my boys I played with, Nolan Hickman. I can go all the way down the board. I don't want to do it because if I forget somebody, I'm going to feel bad. But, you go with the greats. You got, Jamal, you got Nate, B. Roy. So it's just everybody that's from there, or Isaiah Thomas. Like, you just got a lot of lot of quick hitter names. Like some names you hear be like, man, he's from there, or he represents Washington.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like we got some ballers out there, but I say he's very underrated, but very crafty as well.
Indiana basketball scene's pretty good here too.
Yeah,
We got a pretty good scene.
I'm not gonna hate on Indiana, but when we did come out here to play in AAU tournaments, Seattle did dominate.
Okay.
But that's no hate to Indiana whatsoever. So hopefully I'll get
You just got a really good basketball culture.
Yeah,
up there,
yeah.
too.
We just, you know, we got a piece of our own. You know, they probably got us once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Indiana's probably up, but I know that year, Seattle/Washington, we got our number. We got our win.
Right on.
So it was good.
Appreciate your time, JT Tuimoloau.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you
man.
guys.